Who inherited the drug empire from Pablo Escobar? What happened to the drug empire built by the most dangerous man in the world? Who got the power and money generated by the largest cocaine manufacturer and distributor on the planet? What consequences did his death have for Colombia and the world? These are some of the questions we will try to answer in this video. Welcome to The Point of View, the place where the most shocking crime stories come to life, where mystery and history come together to tell us unique events of the most famous outlaws. Today we present to you the story of who inherited the drug empire from Pablo Escobar. Don't forget to like him and subscribe to our channel for more interesting videos. Let's get started. Pablo Emilio Escobar Gaviria was born in 1949 in Rio Negro, Antioquia, into a peasant family. From a young age, he showed business skills and began smuggling at the end of the 1960s. In the late 1970s, he became involved in the production and sale of marijuana and cocaine abroad, forming alliances with other drug traffickers such as Gonzalo Rodríguez Orejuela, Carlos Letter and Jorge Luis Ochoa. This is how the Medellín Cartel was born, a criminal organization that came to control more than 80% of the world's cocaine production and 60% of the illicit market for it in the United States. Escobar became the undisputed leader of the cartel and one of the richest and most powerful men in the world, according to Forbes magazine, which included him on its list of billionaires for 7 consecutive years. His fortune was estimated at about $500 billion between assets and cash. To launder his money and improve his public image, Escobar carried out charitable works for the poor and entered politics, eventually holding a seat as a House representative in the National Congress in 1982. However, his political career was short-lived and frustrated by allegations of his links to drug trafficking. Escobar then entered into an open war against the Colombian state and its enemies, both inside and outside the country. He ordered thousands of assassinations, terrorist attacks, kidnappings and extortions to defend his interests and prevent his extradition to the United States. His rampant violence earned him many enemies, including the rival Cali Cartel, paramilitary groups, guerrilla groups, the United States and the elite Colombian police group known as the Search Bloc. After an intense persecution that lasted more than a year, Escobar was located and killed by security forces on December 2, 1993, one day after his 44th birthday. His death marked the end of a bloody era in Colombian history and left a power vacuum in the world of drug trafficking. Who filled that void? What happened to his family, his partners, and his enemies? What legacy did Pablo Escobar leave behind? The answer is not as simple as it seems. Escobar had a very close family, consisting of his wife, his 2 children, and his younger brother. They witnessed his rise and his fall, and suffered the consequences of his acts. After his death, they had to flee Colombia to save their lives, and face a world that rejected and judged them. His wife was called Maria Victoria Henao, and she married Escobar when she was only 15 years old. She always supported him and defended him, even when she found out about his infidelities and his crimes. Her love for him was so great that she even said that she would rather see him dead than in jail. After Escobar's murder, she tried to negotiate with the Colombian government to obtain an amnesty for her and her children, but was unsuccessful. She then decided to escape the country with the help of some of Escobar's friends. She first took refuge in Mozambique, then in Brazil, and finally in Argentina, where she changed her name to Maria Isabel Santos Caballero. She lived there for years under anonymity, until in 2018 she was arrested for money laundering along with her eldest son. Her eldest son was called Juan Pablo Escobar, and he was 16 years old when his father died. He was the natural heir to her empire, but she never wanted to follow in his footsteps. On the contrary, he denied his last name and his past, and sought a different life. She changed her name to Sebastián Marroquín, and dedicated herself to graphic design and architecture. He also became an activist for peace and reconciliation, and wrote several books about his experience as Escobar's son. In them, he acknowledges the mistakes and horrors of his father, but also shows the human and family side of him. In addition, he apologizes to the victims of drug terrorism, and denounces the injustices of the system that allowed the emergence of drug trafficking. Her youngest daughter was named Manuela Escobar, and she was 9 years old when her father died. She was Escobar's spoiled girl, who fulfilled her every whim and gave her extravagant things. But what happened to his empire after his death? Who were the indirect heirs of him? How was the drug trafficking business distributed after his fall? Escobar's indirect heirs were his main associates and allies of his in the drug business, such as the paramilitary Cali Cartel and the Medellín Cartel. The Cali Cartel was Escobar's main rival and was led by the brothers Gilberto and Miguel Rodríguez Orejuela. They took advantage of the weakness of the Medellín Cartel after Escobar's death to take control of the cocaine market in the United States and Europe. However, their reign was short-lived, as they were captured and extradited to the United States in 1995 and 1996 respectively. The paramilitaries were illegal armed groups that were formed to fight the guerrillas and that were financed with drug trafficking. Some of its leaders were Carlos Castano, Fidel Castano and Salvatore Mancuso. They allied with Escobar at times to confront the state and the Cali Cartel, but they also betrayed him and persecuted him until his death. Later, they kept part of their roots, laboratories and coca crops. The Medellín Cartel did not disappear with Escobar, but was reorganized under the command of some of his former associates, such as the Ochoa Vasquez brothers, Jorge Luis, Juan David and Fabio, and José Gonzalo Rodríguez Gacha, El Mexicano. They tried to maintain the drug trafficking business, but they also clashed with each other and with the Colombian state. Some were captured, others turned themselves in, and others were killed. Thus, we can see that Pablo Escobar's drug empire did not have a single heir, but was fragmented and divided among various actors who fought for power and money. In the vast universe of symbolic heirs, the figure of Pablo Escobar continues to have a dark magnetism that he still calls. Like an indelible shadow in the collective memory, this infamous Colombian drug trafficker has transcended his own time and space, finding a place in the hearts and minds of those who see him as a source of inspiration, admiration, or even imitation. Escobar's legacy has been woven in such a way that it still encompasses multiple forms of artistic expression. He has been the subject of countless works of fiction and non-fiction, extending his presence from the depths of Colombia to the remotest corners of the world. Entertainment giant Netflix brought his story to life in the series, Narcos, captivating audiences from all corners of the globe with the tense and addictive narrative of his confrontation with the DEA. But not only on the screen is his influence. The seventh art also surrendered to his magnetism. In Escobar, Paradise Lost, starring the talented Benicio del Toro, the complex relationship between Escobar and a young Canadian surfer caught up in drug trafficking networks is unraveled. This captivating story is just a small sample of the enormous impact that Escobar has had on world cinema. Literature has not been able to resist his aura either. In El Patrón del Mal, Alonso Salazar takes us on a chilling journey through testimonies from Escobar's family, friends, and enemies, revealing the chiaroscuro of his life and the turbulent atmosphere that surrounded him. His pages are permeated with intrigue and fascination, as if Escobar himself were whispering in the reader's ear, seducing him into the deepest abysses of the human psyche. Music has also witnessed the powerful legacy of him. The song, Tuyo, composed by Rodrigo Amarante and interpreted with passion by Natalia Lafourcade, becomes a hymn that adorns the series, Narcos, and penetrates the hearts of those who listen to it. Its melody captivates, just like Escobar's enigmatic personality, transporting the listener on an emotional journey full of nuances and contradictions. But perhaps one of the most shocking and controversial tributes is the Barrio Pablo Escobar mural. Work that precedes that neighborhood where more than 16,000 people currently live and where the man who provided a roof to those most in need is religiously idolized. But now the most important thing. What happened to all that money when Escobar died in 1993? Who got his fortune? The answer is complicated. Escobar had many assets, both legal and illegal, that were the subject of disputes between his relatives, his partners, his enemies, and the authorities. Some of his assets were properties, such as farms, apartments, farms, and mansions. Others were vehicles, such as planes, helicopters, speedboats, and luxury cars. He also had exotic animals, such as lions, elephants, giraffes, and hippos, which were part of his private zoo. And of course, he had money. A lot of money. It is estimated that Escobar had a fortune of about $30 billion. But most of that money was hidden in secret places called coves. Escobar had coves all over the country, in houses, buildings, forests, and even underground. It is said that Escobar buried the money in barrels or suitcases and then forgot where he had put it. Some coves have been found by chance by people who have found millions of dollars in cash. Others remain a mystery. Escobar's money has also been the subject of curiosities and legends. For example, it is said that Escobar burned bills to warn his family when they were hiding in the jungle. Or that he once gave $1 million to a boy who helped him cross a river. Or that he had an accountant who was in charge of keeping his fortune accounts and who charged 10% of what was lost or damaged. Authorities have tried to seize and distribute Escobar's assets since his death. However, it has not been easy. Many of his assets have been claimed by his legal heirs, his widow, Maria Victoria Henao, and his children, Juan Pablo and Manuela. As we have already seen, they have had a variety of problems to claim his fortune, going so far as to change their name and flee the situation. Other assets have been claimed by their former associates or rivals of the Medellín Cartel, such as the Rodríguez Orejuela brothers or the paramilitaries. Some have been handed over to the state or to social organizations for charitable purposes. And others have been abandoned or deteriorated by the passage of time. Outlaws, we have come this far with today's report. We would love to hear your impressions and opinions in the comments. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel for more engaging content. Until next time.